There is a building on a quiet residential street in Kobe, Japan. It has a security camera above the door, a neat hedge, and a small plaque with a name on it. Anyone can walk past it. Anyone can photograph it. The police know the address, the tax office knows the address, tourists have taken selfies in front of it. And it is the headquarters of the largest criminal organization on Earth. Hold that thought, because it is the whole video. Before we put anyone in a room with that building, you need to understand who we are sending in. In the world of Death Note, the three greatest detectives alive are Ellar, Araldo Coyle, and Deneuve. All three are the same man. He has been running global investigations since he was a child. The public record credits him with over 3,500 solved cases. And the real number is higher because two of his identities are also him. He commands Interpol. He commands the Japanese National Police Agency. He can monitor dozens of screens at once and hold every data point in his head simultaneously, weighing probabilities in real time and speaking them out loud as percentages. When his own successor built a puzzle so complex that an entire police unit gave up and an elite FBI agent called it unsolvable by design, L solved it on sight. So when I tell you this man could take apart a 100-year-old criminal empire in a week, I am not being generous. I am being careful, but here is the problem, and you can probably already feel it. Genius is not the bottleneck. L is a detective. His entire method is narrowing a closed system until only one answer remains. A locked room, a suspect list, a city with a killer in it. Give him a boundary, and he will find the man inside it. The Yakuza has no boundary. The Yakuza is not hiding. That is not a figure of speech, and it is not an exaggeration. In Japan, being a member of a designated organized crime group is not, by itself, a crime. Members carry business cards. Offices have signage. One syndicate published its own internal magazine with essays, poetry, and fishing tips. In 1963, when the police finally counted, there were roughly 184,000 members across the country, more than the strength of Japan's ground forces. And every one of them could be identified, because none of them were trying to disappear. Why would a criminal organization do that? Because it was allowed to. After the war, Japan was a black market held together with string, and the men who ran the black market were the only functioning distribution network in the country. The authorities made a choice that felt reasonable at the time. A visible underworld with an address, a chain of command, and a leader you can call on the telephone is easier to manage than an invisible one. So the syndicates were tolerated. They registered, they put their names on doors. They became, in a very literal sense, part of the furniture. And in exchange for that visibility, they were left mostly alone. That is the arrangement. That is what L is actually walking into. So let's put the affidavit in front of him. He gets the police structure charts, the ones the National Police Agency already publishes every year, and he reads for 4 minutes. And in those 4 minutes, he stops looking for a criminal, because he has found something more interesting. He has found a machine. Here is what the charts show him. At the top, there is one man, the Oyabun, the father. Below him, a second, and below that, a layer of senior bosses, and below that, hundreds of smaller organizations, each with its own boss, its own office, its own name. Each of those pays a monthly fee upward to the group above it. That group pays upward again. Envelope by envelope, month by month, the money climbs. And that is the part L stops on, because the man at the top does not commit crimes. He receives envelopes. Everything that could ever be charged happens 6, 7, 8 levels below him, carried out by a man he has never met, in a group he has never visited, for money he will receive in an envelope with no explanation attached. Prosecutors have spent decades trying to build a ladder from the street to that room, and the ladder keeps breaking, because the rungs are volunteers. Someone below always confesses first. Someone below always takes it. That is not a flaw in the design. That is the design. And L understands, immediately, that this is not a case. There is nothing to solve. Everyone already knows who they are, where they live, and what they do. The information is public. The address is public. The problem was never information. So he does something no detective in the series ever does. He stops investigating. What he does instead is look at the machine and ask a different question. Not who is guilty, not where is the evidence. He asks, what is this thing made of, and what happens if it stops being fed? And the answer is that it is made of money moving upward. And the money moves upward because thousands of ordinary businesses hand it over every month. Construction firms, bars, property developers, talent agencies, nightclubs. Companies that need a permit, a dispute settled, A rival discouraged. A shareholders' meeting kept quiet. The syndicate does not primarily take money from criminals. It takes money from the economy. And now watch what L does with that, because this is where it gets clever. He does not attack the organization. He attacks the customers, because the weapon already exists, and it has been sitting there, loaded, since 2011. In that year, every one of Japan's 47 prefectures finished putting the same set of ordinances on the books. And those ordinances did something that no anti-crime law had done before. They did not make it more illegal to be a gangster. They made it illegal to pay one. If you are a business and you hand over money, you are not a victim anymore. You are a participant. Your name goes on a list. Your bank closes your accounts, your landlord ends your lease, you cannot rent an apartment, sign a phone contract, or open a savings account, because every one of those forms now has a line where you swear you have no connection. The state did not go to war with the syndicates. It quietly made them radioactive to touch. It cut the supply line and then waited. And it worked. Slowly. Over 15 years. 184,000 members at the peak, and by the 2020s, fewer than 20,000. An organization that survived the war, the occupation, the crackdowns, and every gang war in its history was strangled not by arrests, but by paperwork. L reads all of this in an afternoon and reaches the only conclusion available. The system already built the perfect weapon. It has simply been firing it once a decade, politely, with the safety on. So he takes it off. Day one, he pulls every corporate filing, every construction bid, every entertainment license, and starts matching payment patterns against known front companies, and he builds the client list. Not the criminals, the customers. Day two, he separates them into two groups, the ones who paid out of fear and the ones who paid because it was profitable, and he treats those two groups completely differently. Day three, he sends the first group a single anonymous message telling them exactly which ordinance they are already violating, and exactly how many days they have before the second group finds out they were named. He is not threatening anyone. He is just showing each of them the same clock. Day four, he releases the client list, not the syndicate, the companies. And the story that runs is not a crime story. It is a business story, on the financial pages with share prices attached. Day five, the banks start closing accounts on their own, because no bank wants to be the last one holding those files. Nobody has been arrested, nobody has been raided. The envelopes have simply stopped arriving. And on the sixth day, L accepts an invitation. Because the man in the building in Kobe wants to meet him, and L wants to see the room. They sit on tatami. There is a low table, a gold folding screen, and a shallow black lacquer cup between them. Because in this world, you become family by drinking from the same cup, and the amount each man is poured tells everyone in the room exactly where he stands. The old man pours, he explains, without heat, that his organization ran disaster relief into a flattened city in 1995 faster than the government did, that his men keep the streets outside quieter than the police do, that every society keeps a room like this one, and the only question is whether the room has a door on it. Then he slides the cup across the table and offers L a place inside the family. And L looks at the cup and does not pick it up and says the only thing he came to say, nobody is refusing you. The money simply isn't coming. Then he leaves. Within a month, it is over. Not with a raid, with resignations. Small groups leave to avoid the list, the ones who stay cannot pay upward, and the layers underneath begin to come apart under their own weight. By the seventh day, L has done what a century of law enforcement could not, and he sits down in a dark room with a saucer of sugar cubes to watch the numbers fall. And this is where the story stops being satisfying, because he keeps watching, and what he sees is not an absence. 18 months later, the crime rate has not moved. The fraud numbers are climbing. The violence is worse. And when the police finally try to draw a new organization chart, they cannot, because there is no organization. What replaced the machine has no oyabun, no address, no plaque, no magazine, no ceremony, no cup. It is recruited by anonymous advertisements offering easy work, assembled over encrypted apps for a single job, and dissolved before dawn. The man who ordered the robbery has never met the boy who carried it out, does not know his name, and cannot be reached by him. There is nobody to arrest because nobody is above anybody. There is nobody to threaten because nobody knows who anyone is. You cannot cut the head off a thing with no head. Japan gave it a name in the last few years because it needed one. And L understands, sitting there, that he did not destroy the machine. He evicted it. He took a monster that was standing in the open with its address on a sign, and he taught it to be invisible, and it learned in a single season. The building in Kobe is quiet now. That was never the dangerous part. The dangerous part is that for 100 years, everyone knew exactly where to look, and that was the only reason anyone could see anything at all. And now here is the thing you should sit with. The system you can name is not the system that is taking from you. The one with the address, the logo, the public filings, and the annual report is the one that agreed to be seen. It accepted a door so it could keep the room. Whatever is actually shaping your week has no plaque on it, no headquarters, no name you would recognize, and no meeting you could ever be invited to. You have spent your life watching the building. Nobody has ever shown you the envelope.